Now that you have your resources kind of sorted out, the application piece and preparing your application material will be really, really important. Because I bet you not a lot of you guys heard about the ATS systems before. It's applicant tracking systems, and maybe Jessie can go ahead and explain it to us.
Yeah, so applicant tracking systems make recruiters' lives really easy, but they don't always make the person who's applying, it's not as easy for them. So applicant tracking systems are basically the systems that you apply online. So when you submit your resume, your resume will go through an applicant tracking system. They're going to scan your resume to see if you have the same amount or similar words on your resume that they have on the job description. And that's why it's really important to tailor your resume each time based on the job description that you're applying to. Now, this is great for recruiters, like I said, because when they get an application, they usually get a percentage next to your name that will say, this person has a 60% match to the job description. And most recruiters are not going to waste their time on anyone below 60%. It also depends on the actual application and position, but that's why it's so important to know that this is a thing. Anytime you apply online and you go through an applicant system and you have to fill out all that information, we can promise you they have an applicant tracking system. And that's why it's really important you know about this, just so you know to match those keywords.
Right. And what does this mean to you as sophomores who are getting ready to apply for internships? Well, since you don't have 10 plus years of work experience, the tailoring of your resume will not look as drastically as for someone who is mid-career, right? For you as sophomores, what that's going to mean is that you're going to check the job description for that internship and try to identify what keywords that they may be using in the ATS system. For example, if you keep saying, seeing this, advanced or proficiency in using Adobe softwares on multiple places. Well, if you have the experience, if you use Adobe before, you better have the word Adobe on your resume. It could be said for a lot of other applications. It could be said for some of the soft skills like leadership. If they want a leader, and if they keep talking about leadership throughout that job description, at some point in your resume, you better use the word leadership. So that's pretty much how you get around the ATS systems and basically increase your chances of getting selected for an interview and kind of pass that initial screening.
Yep. It's good knowledge to have moving forward, even in internships.
Right. Now, so to kind of build more upon that, resumes are going to be the #1 way for you to kind of get around that ATS system, because that's how you apply to get a position, right? And you're going to basically reflect how great of a candidate you are on that piece of paper, because you may be the most qualified candidate in the world. If you can't eloquently and articulately describe your experiences and show your qualifications on your resume, it means nothing for the recruiter. So a great resume does take 4 years to build. Jessie and I, again, we're creative wellness specialists and have a lot of students come their senior year, schedule an appointment with us and have nothing, no resume built in the past or no experiences to go off of. And at that point, we can't really help them a lot. This is a continuous process. You need to start as early as your freshman year and perfect this document as you move along your academic career. And by the time you're a senior, it's a full, great looking resume with that represents you to the best of your ability.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's now talk about then the content of your resume.
Yeah. So, Çağla, do you think that recruiters really care about grades?
Well, that's a good question. And I would say if you're a college student with no experience or maybe some internship experience, how are they going to evaluate you? Like, you don't have a proven track record of, professionalism or having a specific skill set. The easiest way for them to kind of, eliminate you is by looking at your grades and seeing if you have your GPA on your resume. If you have it, is it really above 3.0? If the answer is no, it's a deal breaker for most industries and most companies. So it's a myth that I see a lot of students kind of talk about this. They don't care about your grades. If you have good experiences on your resume, they don't care about it. And that may be true when you are in the field for 10 years and have a lot of good experiences. Yeah, they're not going to care about your GPA anymore. But if you're a recent college graduate, or if you're someone who's looking for internships, that's going to be the main criteria, the number one thing that they're going to look at.
Yep. It shows that you can read, you can write, you can problem solve, and you can make it through college and have basic understanding of your bachelor's degree. And that's why recruiters are going to look first at your name, so make sure it's on there. Then they're going to look at your degree, make sure it's relevant to the job that you're applying to or the internship you're applying to. And then they're going to see, well, how well did they do? And then after they look at that, they look at everything else on the screen. And that is really why we're talking about this. We're talking about the experience. So what did you really want to highlight, Çağla?
I really wanted to highlight the importance of experiential learning here, meaning if I'm a recruiter looking at resumes to hire someone for an internship, a lot of the students will look identical on paper. They will all have a college degree that they're working towards, average grades, right? And if that's the case, how am I going to make this decision? Well, they're going to look at whether you have relevant experiences in terms of maybe past internships or part-time jobs that are related to your field, any type of leadership experiences, like maybe you're an officer for a student organization. Those are the things, those are the type of experiences that will set you apart. So please don't be one of those students who only focus on academics and try to get good grades, or maybe a student that doesn't even do that. Hope that they're going to get a really good competitive job one day, because early in this presentation, we talked to you about how competitive the job market is. And if you want to set yourself apart from your competition, you better gain these type of experiential learning experiences and create a competitive resume.
I agree. And another great thing, even with the competitiveness of the market, on a personal level, internships help you figure out what it is that you want to do. And they really help you figure out what you don't want to do. By being in that job and seeing how the industry actually looks, not only as a recruiter seeing that you're able to know that and you're making your decision fully, but you know what's a good fit for you.
Exactly. So these are some sections that you need to highlight on your resume, but we'll give you really specific instructions for your homework to create the resume, the document that you need to create for the resume assignment. So, but just know that this should be definitely included in your content whenever you're creating your resume. All right, now let's talk about the guidelines. Do you want to start, Jess?
Yeah, so first and foremost, when you are putting together your resume for the class, we want you to use the examples provided on the Career Services website. Under Build a Resume, at the bottom part of the page, we have examples in different industries, different pathways. We want you to use those and not Microsoft Word. These have actually been tested in the industries. We've worked with professors and industry leaders to put these together, and we update them. So please use these. You can download them as Word documents and make them your own, but use those, please. We will be expecting that for your grade.
That will be a requirement for your resume assignment. We don't want you to find a one-off resume on Microsoft Word templates or Google. We have resources for you. We created specifically for you, and we expect that you use those templates in the resume assignment.
Absolutely.
Beside that, one of the most important things when it comes to resume is that do not lie. You have to be factual and honest and really reflect your abilities kind of objectively and not overinflate them. Meaning, if you don't know, like if you've taken only 1 semester of Mandarin, that doesn't mean that you speak Chinese.
No.
Don't put Chinese in your foreign language section. But there's nothing wrong with saying something like beginner proficiency in Chinese. So more often than not, to get around the ATS system, we would prefer that you have things kind of spelled out on your resume, but always indicate the level of proficiency, how great, how good you are in that certain skill that you claim you have.
Absolutely. Because if you do over exaggerate it, they will know. When you go into the interview, they may ask you about it, and most of the time they're going to be able to know if you are not being truthful. The other thing about your resume, of course, you want to be factual and honest, but it also needs to be easy to read. If they're only spending 10 seconds looking at this, you want to stay away from paragraphs. You want to stay away from different things that are hard to read, like different colors and fonts. Number one, it needs to be easy to read and flow. And Çağla, what else do you think about that?
Well, if I'm looking at a resume for 10 seconds, I want to be able to distinguish information fairly quickly. And that's why bullet points for the content will help you accomplish that instead of lengthy paragraphs. And you really need to use an appropriate font size. We have 11 to 12 font size on the slide, but you can go as little as 10 font size for the content, but definitely make sure that your name is at least 16 point font, and you use a professional email address. It could be your name, a variation of your name with maybe a Gmail address. That is to be expected. Don't use any type of titles or like nicknames or anything like that in your professional email. But I think you wanted to talk a little bit about the consistency, Jess.
Yeah, it's really important that you're staying consistent in your formatting throughout. So in each section, let's say in education, we really encourage you to bold things, but being smart about it. One way to do that is to make sure if you bold the university, then under your experience, make sure you bold the company name. You just want to be consistent in those ways. So when they're looking, they don't have to kind of guess where the information is coming from. We also suggest putting all of your dates on the right side of the page so it's easy to find those. Just being consistent and being on top of that, getting it spell checked, having a career development specialist look over it can really help you make your resume look perfect. Actually, I don't believe in perfect resumes. Effective is a really great way to say that. And easy to read. So being consistent in formatting, punctuation, spelling, everything makes a huge difference when someone's looking at it.
For sure. But these are the guidelines that we would like for you to follow whenever you complete your resume assignment for this course. Now, let's talk about those bullets that I just mentioned. A lot of times people include very ineffective bullets on their resume that doesn't help them in any way, shape, or form. Now, help manage children at a summer camp. What does this tell me, Jess?
That tells me nothing. That literally could mean they worked with one child 1 day a week or only once. And that's why it's so important. You don't want a recruiter or anyone looking at your resume to go, how or why. You want to give them that information. So in this instance, we changed it to managed more than 250 children ages 5 to 14 in a week-long summer camp. My goodness, that person can do a lot. 250, that's a lot. So just adding those details says so much more about your capabilities than you can actually write out. Numbers are so important. You have to be able to measure it.
And throughout your resume, you need to make sure that your bullets are measurable, specific, objective, and accomplishment-based. So the other important thing, again, from an objective and specific standpoint, if I were to tell you that I'm an experienced communicator on my resume or a great leader, it doesn't, again, a hard worker, stay away from these statements because anybody can claim that they're this, that, or the other. The most important thing on a resume is to be able to demonstrate that skill. For example, if you were to say something like experienced public speaker with a proven track record of 100 Ignite style presentations for audiences ranging from 100 to 250 people, that tells me something about your public speaking skills. So you need to be very, very to the point, concise with your bullets, and don't focus on mundane daily tasks. By that, I mean, even if you worked at McDonald's, we know that you flip burgers and mop the floors, but don't put that on your resume. Instead, try to focus on what we call the transferable skills. So what do I mean by that, Jessie?
Well, I mean, anyone who's worked in any fast food or any food industry, which most of us at some point have, what kind of skills do you really get there? You learn problem solving, you learn teamwork, you learn how to deal with difficult situations. And so you want to talk about those things. You want to talk about what you learned, what you accomplished. Maybe you were the best person at the checkout and you actually had a great percentage. That shows that you had great attention to detail and that you were efficient. So those are the kind of things you want to highlight.
Exactly. So it sounds a lot better to say communicated professionally and effectively with coworkers and upper management to ensure excellent customer service.
Perfect.
Sounds better than flip burgers. So you need
or opened and closed store.
Yeah, exactly. So please focus on those things on your resume, because we're giving this information not just for the purposes of the assignment that you're going to complete in this course, but these are life skills. These will help you throughout your career whenever you are creating that resume.
Absolutely.
All right, now it's time to take action. Once you create your resume, you will have that uploaded on your Handshake account, because we mentioned the importance of doing so. And the other thing, do you want to talk about maybe branding here, Jess?
Yeah, we're going to give you guys, there'll be an assignment on really branding a little later, but it's so important that we're going to talk about it again. You need to make social media work for you. We all live on social media, and so it's important that you're showing yourself in your best light. You're being professional. If not, then I would encourage you to have a different name that you go under that isn't on your applications. So especially if you're a big person that likes to tweet and you're political, but that has nothing to do with what you actually want to do, you may want to consider changing your name or coming up with a different username. And if you are a poli-sci major, then make sure that you're keeping it as professional as possible so that you can use that. And that works in a lot of different areas.
Mm-hmm. And make sure your profile picture is not a picture of you doing a keg stand in a party.
Yeah, don't do that. Everyone looks, like we said, as soon as you get on, as soon as someone finds that you're interesting for a job, they're going to get on Google and they're going to Google you. And so make sure they're not finding something that may deter them from wanting to apply, bring you in for an interview.
And it's important to stay organized. How do you track stuff, Jessie?
So one really important thing to remember is you're going to be applying to a lot of different jobs, and you're not going to remember all the details for every job. So I highly encourage you to find a system that works for you. A lot of students that we've worked with like an Excel spreadsheet where they'll list the title of the job. They'll even copy and paste the job description, maybe keep it as a Word document, because sometimes after you apply and it closes, you don't get access to that anymore. And just kind of keep track of it, because then you can do follow-ups. And if you get a call from a recruiter asking if you're interested in a position, you're not going, oh no, I have no idea what you're talking about. You can go, yeah, let me pull up my file. And that actually makes you seem even more professional.
Exactly. So these are some of the basic foundational skills that we want to talk to you about. After this PowerPoint, you will have a quiz that you will need to complete based on everything we covered in this presentation. And once you've done that, you will also complete your resume assignment. But just to reiterate, these are life skills that we're trying to instill in you. And take this advice, take this with you for hopefully the rest of your lives and make sure that you are a competitive candidate in the job market that represents you and West Virginia University to the best of your ability.
Absolutely. And also remember, we are career development specialists. We do take appointments. So if you're struggling and you want more help than just from this class, you can always reach out to us and set up an appointment.
That's right. Well, that's it from us today, and hope to see you in different videos, and good luck on the course.